You're watching Spotlight, a production of Culture and Made, York's cultural showcase. I'm Carla Christopher, poet, publisher, and producer. Join me, along with editor, musical guru, and video extraordinaire Jay Schmuck, plus wild outdoorsman and videographer, along with technical extraordinaire Cliff Kern, and all of our friends as we go behind the scenes and get into the underground of what's really going on in the arts and cultural amazing explorations that are happening in South Central Pennsylvania. You'll see everything from art to music to dance to theater, and you'll also get to meet the people who really make it happen, find out how and why, along with some great studio performances, some amazing on-the-street footage. You'll also get the real story, and that's what we're here to shine a spotlight on. Let's go. I am so excited to be here with one of my favorite guests of all time, the G. Mill, an incredible spoken word artist out of Harrisburg and someone who has a profound voice of spirituality, of conversation, and then also brings in a spoken word and a poetic flow. And just as a writer, there's almost a story of speech and storytelling that's a part of your poetry, which is something that I really love in it. I get the feeling that we are having a conversation and a preaching lesson and poetry all at the same time when you are speaking. So talk to me about this incredible new book, this new collection that you have, and also about what you've been up to since we've gotten to speak last.
All right, I would love to, but let me go here with this because you said a word, you said storyteller.
Yes.
And I think this is where this all begins. We were talking about ancestral powers just prior to the show starting. And I believe that I come from a long line of storytellers from the shores of West Africa. Call it what you want. And I believe that it is my job to reconnect those stories. Because some of the things that are being written, you know, these writings are shared with my ancestors. I believe that they come through and because I have to read it sometimes. I'm like, man, I wrote that.
Right, where did that even come from? I do that too. I'll pull out a book or I'll pull out, a little scribble-filled notebook, and I don't even remember writing it. It truly is as if it came from someplace else.
I believe in that. I really do. And with pure energy, and this is the book here, Pure Energy. This time, when I wrote down the poetry, I tried to get a visual of what it was that I was trying to say with the poem. So each poem has its own little picture in it. So for those who don't like to read all the time, they can at least look at the pictures.
So inside each poem, so you start with the visual image, you start with the picture,
Yes.
and then you give the words that bring that to life. That's a really unconventional take on creating a spoken piece. And I know a lot of our viewers at home will frequently ask when we have poets that visit, where do you get your inspiration from? How do you know what you want to write a poem about? What says, oh yeah, this needs to turn into a poem?
Oh, it's scenery. It's, and it's amazing because, what you digest, with your eyes, what you digest and what you see can stir up so much emotion, so much emotion. Like, for example, I could be watching a program and, it'll come on and it'll be a news flash about a kid getting killed by an officer. That would stir something up. Or if I'm walking down at the riverfront, I could catch the sun coming off of the river, and it's so beautiful. It would stir up that emotion to write something. So it's pretty much what I digest, as I'm going through, and I try to go through life as gently as possible, just because, that's how it should be. That's how I feel. There's a lot of like anger in the air, and I'm watching people, and there's still a lot of good. Don't get me wrong. There's some people out here that's really reaching to make. Yeah. Here's the one thing. Here's the one thing, man. I really, and I've always believed that positive energy was really that much stronger than negative energy. I mean, it doesn't matter. The positive will prevail. And if you can pull that energy out of someone, and that's what the poetry is about, pulling the positive energy out of you to combat the ego, or to combat, because the negative energy also comes from us. You know, it's like the devil and the God on the
You've
shoulders
got a
type
little
of thing.
voice
You
on
know,
each shoulder. So you think every person has
every
both
person
of those energies in them,
most
and it
definitely.
becomes just a matter of pulling, deciding what you want to feed.
And that's what's saying. Deciding which one you want to feed. Which one do you feed the most?
And so is your art part of that for you? Is that part of feeding for yourself the positive energy and keeping yourself grounded in positive energy? Or is it about trying to put that good food out into the universe for others to consume?
That second statement you just made right there, I couldn't have said that any better. I couldn't have said that any better, man. That's right. We put that out there for, it's like a buffet of just good energy. It
So your
is.
motivation really is that the audience is on the receiving end of the best and the most beautiful, the most positive that you have to offer them. You're putting something out into the world that has the ability to make things better.
It's always about your audience, and it's always about including everyone. You can't make it. Like, if I go and do a poetry a venue, if no one's in the audience, then what am I doing? So I need them. So you give, like, everyone is connected. We have to start participating, like, okay, we're connected. You and I are connected. Make no mistake about it. And like, ever since I met you, you know what I mean? We've been together for a long time, Carla, for a long time now. We have, sometimes you're busy, I'm busy, everybody does their thing. But we still find time to come back together and do stuff like this. And, I'm so appreciative of you. I can't tell you how much I appreciate you allowing me to come up here and share this energy.
It's interesting to me because I do know a lot of poets, a lot of writers who don't share their work, or who share it very rarely, or who say they write because they need to, but that it's largely a personal endeavor. What's the difference between a writer who writes for themselves and a writer who writes for performance or for sharing or for others? I mean, there are definitely both out there.
Well, I got to tell you, now this is on some outside of the box thinking here.
All right,
I don't want
I'm
you.
ready.
I know the audience is going to be like, "Oh, this guy's off this rocker for a little bit." But here's the thing. And even in my poem, the one that I just recited, I said that all of you are personalities of mine. And you're like a personality of mine. There's something about you that draws me to you, about my own personality, that makes us so compatible. And it's like that with everyone. And if it's not, then most of the times they're not even in your life. But you'd be surprised how much, even on a negative level, if you're getting negative flack, then maybe you're putting something out negative to receive that. You understand what I'm saying? So I think you're like a personality of mine. Actually, I'm sitting here by myself and there's no one there. I'm just pretending that you're here. You're like,
there are lots of different cultures, though, universally, that have that concept. What the Native American saying, "Mi taku oyesen," we are one. And this idea that we are all connected, we all share the same energy.
Yes, we do.
That's something that many religions, many cultures, many spiritualities have in person. And in the Christian tradition, there's a lot of conversation about, all of us being branches off the same vine, and all of us being connected in the body of Christ. And, that's just one tradition, that we all need each other, is
I agree.
a spiritual revelation that was made long ago.
And by you bringing that up about, the different religions and the different cultures, it's almost like if you accept one, you have to accept them all. They are all so similar. Now, and it's a basic format when you're going into these different religions. But if you accept one, then why not accept them all? You
I
know,
mean,
a
there
lot
are
of
many
times,
folks.
well, it's a lot of it's just geographics. You know, you got, if I'm here and then you got someone across the lakes or the oceans, they're going to be speaking different languages, so they'll say different. It'll be different vibrations. It doesn't necessarily mean that you know, we both can't believe in God.
And there would be many people who are not necessarily religious practitioners that would push in even further and say it's about human nature, and that we have a desire to connect. We have a desire to understand how the world works, to recognize the spirituality that exists in ourselves and our world. I mean, I know quite a few people who are very dedicated in not being part of a spiritual tradition, but yet still have those same values of believing that we are all meant to be in connection and mutual support. So
You talking about me?
no, I
That's
really,
funny.
I think it's very interesting, the connection between art and spirituality. That
Oh.
we've had so many artists come through this show, but also just through life and reading and hearing their writings, where they're having conversation about art as an expression of spirituality, that sharing art, that there's a connection between that part of your body that connects to a universe that is just bigger than you, and that's what makes you create art. That's what helps you create art. This connection of art and spirituality and spirituality beyond religion is something that I think we're just beginning to understand.
Ooh, I don't. I think you're on to something there. That's you're pretty heavy with that. Man. You just, boy, you almost knocked me out the chair.
We're heavy. We're getting heavy in here today, folks.
It's
We're getting
getting
heavy
heavy.
in
Yes,
here
it
today,
is.
folks.
Yes, it is.
But the idea of inspiration is very important.
You were saying, you were talking about the different poets when it comes to poets who like to write for themselves. I've actually read a poem. I was surprised that I was allowed to read the poem, but when I read it, it was like, if you don't get this out, then those who need to hear it won't receive it. It's like you're burying the connection between the ancestors and those who are going to need it, because I really believe that our story, it didn't start with me and it doesn't start with me, and nor will it end. But we still have to chain the energy from ancestral energy to the future, and I think that we got away from a lot of basic stuff, just being kind and we just got away from so much. People get so busy and caught up into their worlds. You forget, that phrase, you got to stop and smell the flowers. That's real dialogue. You need to do that, because if you don't, you will run through your life and you will miss the point. You will miss the point. You're trained to get a nice job and to do things, but you're actually putting your time in for someone else to be rich. You have to start focusing on you. And if you can focus on you and you can focus on you, and we can come together and we're both, because we can both be millionaires. It's possible, Doesn't just have to be one millionaire. We could all be million and billionaires.
There is more than enough to go around.
It's more than enough to go around. So, I mean, you just got to have that faith and hope that things will change. You can actually change it yourself, because my world is so different from what I see on TV. In fact, the less TV I watch, the more I can see. And that's real dialogue too. The less TV I watch. So once you get focused, and you'd be surprised how many people will come into your world. And then you share with yourself in their world as well, and you rise together. So, I mean, I guess that's as plain as I could make it.
Amen and amen. And if you would like to come
Shay.
into G Mill's world, it is available at communityartsink.org. That's INK, so communityartsink.org. And you can also look up the G Mill on Facebook, where you can find amazing videos, artwork, some fabulous samples of poetry and photographs and upcoming performances. Gmail is everywhere. So if you are anywhere in the South Central region, you can either book a show or you can come and catch one. But the world and the word is in the book.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Oh,
it was so good to talk to you.
It's always
G.
good to see you. Tick, tock, tick, tock, tick, tock, tick, tock. Now, I signed up for this. I put my mark on the list, and like you, I knew the risk. It was a gift, so start acting like you care. I'm about to make you all aware that it was you who asked to be here. And to be fair, I'll remind you of your oaths, reassign you to your post so you can meet up with the army of souls. I'll arose the flow of my life so I won't get left behind. Born twice, see, I'm on borrowed tick, tock, tick, tock, tick, tock, tick, tock. And I popped this clock lock years ago. I wrote it in stone, shot it out in stereo. What you need to do is act like you know, and know that you've been sold to the promised lies that you were told. So hear my cry. Embrace that you will die. Stop living on hold and let it ride, cause you're on borrowed tick, tock, tick, tock, tick, tock, tick. Shit. Now I spit in the spirit of Hendrix. I said Jimmy's superstar, banging bars past the planet Mars. I tore the roof off with this here guitar. I hit the chord hard with the corner of my Visa card. I made it shine, made the sound whine. I bet you didn't know that Buster is a friend of mine when we stood on borrowed time. Here's my favorite line. Excuse me while I kiss the sky. Tick, tock, tick, tock, tick, tock, tick. Split. Now, let me make myself clear. I stand alone in the outer zone when I'm willing prayer, spiraling through the atmosphere. You can best believe it's only me when my time appears. Meanwhile, I'll speak without fear, dare to be stated when an act of truth is formulated. A soul be sacred, spirit by the naked, the thought of my kind in a coup d'etat amongst the hated, amongst the related. When our spirits should combine in my Godplex state of mind. All of you are personalities of mine, and as a God I must shine the light on the laws of lies, stunning facts and the loss of black life. If this ain't your movement, why the hell aren't you on my side? What I'm sensing is a hint of foolish pride when the hairs on my neck override the thoughts that I detect. A lack of comfort. Try a self-check. Reconnect the line before my words create the vortex. And nonetheless, I will take no rest, cause you know nothing of this energy that lies beyond my flesh. Let your cause be the reason for your death. We are all born to die, so who are we that we should stand by? Ha! Who decides or who will be denied? The high road is my path. Bring your ass or say goodbye. Back at Benjamin Turner's farm, or back in the day when Nat was born, or back when the act was to slay all blacks. There was visions of a mission that were given to a taxi. Fact is only 55 whites off the map.
Factors over 200 Africans passed. Slaughter was their fate in the aftermath, but the feeling of rebellion was the freedom that they lacked. Slavery's the case, and so is murder. History's a lie, I won't take it no further. Brainwashing the mind, got death on my shoulders, but I die all the time in the universal order. Back from the grave as I crossed hell's borders. Back into the body of a black man. I'm not just an African, it's the return of Nat Turner. Overcome oppression is the lesson, be the learner, and I'm guessing that you gonna drink this water. Tap into the flow of my quota. About to organize a comeback in the fourth quarter. Black is the way that I flaunt my color. Father, sister, mother, brother, I'm black and I'm proud and I'm gon' say it louder. I said louder, just a bit louder. Family, unity, community, you and me. I'm the G, energy, black power.
We have such a treat today. One of the most talented, most vibrant, just colorful, alive artists that I have been able to encounter in my career, much less the last few years, is here at the studio today. And not just here at the studio on a visit, not just here for a visit. Kayode Malomo is here for real. A treat that York now gets to experience and see and enjoy on the regular. We are so fortunate as a county to have the life that is contained in even one of your paintings. To have you here is overwhelming.
Wow.
It is a source of joy.
Thank you so much, Carla. Thank you for having me today.
Oh my goodness. Now, just because the journey that you went through to get here is so amazing. Can you take our audience of folks that are just meeting and encountering you in your work for the first time through the journey of how you went from being someone first preparing to pick up a paintbrush to ending up an artist and creative here in York?
Wow.
I know,
It's
nothing
been-
like tell us your whole
Yes,
life story
no
as an
problem.
artist in 10 minutes,
yeah,
you know.
It's been a long journey. It's been a long journey. I've actually been painting for over 15 years. I started painting when I was back in Nigeria. Interestingly, the schools had just been closed, and we're waiting to get into college and things like that. So rather than just sit down wasting my time, I decided to start painting. And that was the journey started for me. I spent the next 2 years while some of my other colleagues were waiting, painting. That inspired an art gallery which I started with my elder brother, who also paints as well. And from there, that helped me to pay for my college education. So after finishing that, I sold the gallery and relocated to the United States to pursue my master's degree here. I moved to Philadelphia, where I lived for I lived in Philadelphia for about 12 years, and then moved over to York. It's been an exciting journey being here in York. Like I told you, Carla, I totally underestimated the love of arts in this city. It's been very inspiring. I've been really encouraged to work with other artists, and I'm happy to be here.
Oh, it's exciting. Now, I noticed that there are some themes that do tend to pop out. I mean, when I look at your art, I see just this wonderful use of color. Is that just from a passion for brightness and beauty? Is there a reason why you have so much color involved in your pieces? Where does that come from?
Yes, thank you very much for that. The inspiration for using so much colors, I think, goes back to my name, Kayode means God has brought joy. So with my art, I try to bring joy. And with joy, I think joy and colors sort of go together in some ways. So I love to bring the brightness, the hope, prosperity. One thing that I do not take for granted in any way is the opportunity to actually have one of my paintings hang in people's homes. So it might be the first thing they see in the morning or the last thing they see when they go to bed. So I want them to, take a look at it, let it bring a smile into their faces. So that's part of my inspiration.
Now, I noticed too that a lot of your artwork, this is a beautiful piece. Both of these are some of my favorites that I've seen, but that theme
Thank
of
you.
music
Yes.
plays frequently through your paintings. Are you a musician too?
No, I'm not, but I do have a great appreciation for music. Growing up and actually being in the choir when I was much younger, that helped to develop my interest in music. I always wanted to learn the keyboard, but for some reason, the creative space and putting colors on canvas took a stronger part of me. I'm hoping that one day maybe I might still be able to go back, but for now I do love to share the inspiration with guitars, with the keyboard, and jazzy notes and fairy notes and things like that on canvas.
Wow. Now, do you use acrylic? What is the medium for your work? Because the color, the detail, the sort of movement that's in it, even with acrylic is unconventional.
Thanks. Yes, I use acrylic for a lot of my works. However, I'm a multimedia artist, so I use acrylic, I use oils, I also do collage. So you see a blend of different ones. The both pieces that are here are both acrylic. However, the one that's on the table over here, if I may share with
Yes,
you.
now this is a
Yeah.
beautiful piece.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
very different.
It's very different. So it's the gentlemen fishermen going on fishing. The backgrounds that you see here, it's all airbrush. I used airbrush, which is like a spray gun, American
Yeah.
technology, and with the gentleman over here, that's ink. So that's how it makes it mixed media. And then for the nets, I've also actually just used some acrylic. So I enjoy the opportunity to mix various media together to accomplish my mission.
So where did you pick up the different styles that you use? I mean, are all of these techniques that you learned in school, or did you end up having to do a lot of self-teaching along the way?
I did a lot of self-teaching. I learned a lot from my brother, Kunle, as well, who's also an artist. And I've also had the opportunity to work with other artists over the years who've inspired me to try different styles. So I'll say it's been a blessing over the years, just to be able to try different media.
So what is it that you see next for you? Now that you have relocated to York,
Yeah.
you've begun showing in some of the amazing galleries downtown. Like I know I saw your work hanging at Gusa, which
Yes,
is
thank
a
you.
wonderful gallery owned by a Kenyan immigrant who is here and is all about showcasing international artists specifically. But what else for you is calling out in York?
Oh, thank you so much. Gusa does great work. Victoria does great work. It's been a blessing working with her. I've also had the opportunity to exhibit at Creative York. I had an exhibit there for about 7 weeks that was sort of showcasing various immigrant stories immigrants who have relocated to York. So that was a big blessing. A couple of days ago, I also had the opportunity to exhibit at the YMCA, which now has a new welcoming center that welcomes people from all over the world. So it was an opportunity to also showcase some of the paintings. In addition to that, now I'm beginning to look at various sceneries across York. So for example, tomorrow I'm going to be going on the trail with my neighbor, who is also actually a collector, great guy, Mr. David. We do a lot of stuff together. So we're going to be taking some pictures together on the trail, taking note of them, and I'm going to be going back to the studio to paint them. So I'm definitely looking forward to creating some nice themes out in the York area.
Wow. So of all the places that you could have relocated to, I mean, having to go through so much to come to an entire different country, an entire different language and collection of languages, what was it about York? I know that part of it was that there was an appreciation for art here, but why here? How does that affect and inform and change you as an artist? And of all the places that you could have gone after what you've been through, what made you decide that York was the right place for you?
Yeah. Thank you so much for that. One of the things that really attracted me when I got to York was I noticed that there was a really strong sense of family. I believe very much in the family, have two boys as well, 9 and 8. And when we visited York for the very first time, they fell in love with the place. They fell in love they made new friends very quickly. It's very different from Philadelphia, obviously. Philadelphia, fast-paced and things are sort of calmer here. It's the serenity gives me an opportunity to actually take a step back, spend more time in the gallery, spend more time making the pieces. So I love the slower pace, if you ask me, and I'll say that's one of the great things, one of the blessings in being in York. But also the people. The people, it's been an exciting journey. The people meeting you a couple of months ago at the Lutheran Church, that was just so exciting, the way I was welcomed. Thank you so much for that. People take out time to say hello to you on the road and just engage you in a positive way. It struck me in a lot of positive ways, and I'm very excited to be part of the community. In addition to that, one of my favorite places in the city to go to is actually the Salem Square Library. Oh. Yes. So Salem Square Library, I enjoy going there, interacting with the kids, and I had an opportunity to present a painting to them over the holiday period titled "Education is Key." One interesting thing about that is that's now become part of the curriculum sort of for the kids. They get to ask questions about the painting, what inspires them, in the future. That for me has been a real blessing. I look forward to being a bigger part of the community.
Wonderful. So if people want to engage in your work and spend time with your work and even take some of it home, where can they go to see or purchase or interact with the incredible art that you create?
Thank you so much. So for now, I have my paintings displayed at Gusa by Victoria, which is on 125 West Philadelphia Street. That's right. In York. So it's available there. My paintings are also available online at www.malomziart.com for those who are interested. I'm hoping to be able to distribute them across other additional channels as I move forward.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Carla.
For spending time with us
Thank
today.
you so much for having me, Carla. Thank you.
Sometimes you are sitting at a poetry open mic and you just have this voice that reaches right through the audience and right through any other noise, pierces right into your soul, and you remember that voice forever. And that is exactly how I met our fabulous poet that's here joining us today, Ikysha Jones. Now, when you speak from your own personal experience and you speak from your own story, there is something different about the way that that reaches you. And that's what I love about your work, that there is something that is so raw and so vulnerable that you can almost feel the courage that it takes to share that. And that is what I just really wanted to bring to this stage and give people the chance to experience the healing power that can come from the bravery of being willing to tell some of your own story and even telling other stories. You know, because I think that's something that's not necessarily true, right? People always assume that if you're a poet, you're telling your whole own story and that you
is
don't make
correct.
any of it up.
Right.
And that's a big lie. Like, we make it up, right? Like, we're artists, we're
Don't you know this
creatives,
imagination is wild. It's running rampant.
right? And that it's about being able to tell a universal story in this very personal way and be able to tell from what you've learned from other people and put that out there in a way that still just touches souls, touches hearts, and reaches folks. But now tell me your story. Tell me how you got started and got into this whole crazy art world that we call the scene.
Okay, I will say I was thirsty. And I have connection problems with people, and it's that not being understood, wanting to be understood. Coming across people on Facebook. Facebook was a really big door opener for me, as of to meeting people. I pretty much was in my house. Don't really know anybody, even though I'm from New York. So I kind of just went out on a limb and just started asking people. And an ex-coworker told me about the King's Courtyard. And we were supposed to go together, and she ended up canceling, but I still went. And it was the best thing anybody ever told me about. Going there pretty much has been a domino effect. I ended up meeting Missy Ritter.
Mm-hmm. An awesome poet and event host here in town.
So she brought me in under her wing into the Parliament, to where I help co-host open mics with her.
Yep, every fourth Friday, right?
Yes.
At the Parliament Art Collective, which is on East King Street, which is an awesome open mic spot.
Yes, I have, when it comes to talking with people, I shut down a lot. And that is actually helping me with that a lot. I'm a little better with eye contact now. It was for Women's History Month when you invited me to speak to honor Maya Angelou. I had went to a writing retreat after that, and somebody recognized me, and they said they was there with a friend, and they was wondering if that was a piece from Maya Angelou or if that was one of my pieces. And I said it was the original piece, and she just gave me the most positive, conversation, very influential, very inspiring, and it really opened my eyes up that I really touched somebody with my words. Words are very powerful. We are all here off of a word. So in a way, I like to feel like this is a direct gift from God, because He is the ultimate wordsmith. And being a wordsmith is a great honor. It's a great duty to carry out. So here I am in my life. I have all these talents I buried. I'm ready to unbury them, ready to uncover them, and ready to get out there and stop being scared. Because I have some things to share with the world, and I can't continue to be selfish with myself, because I may not like the lower vibrations in my life. And it's like, when you hit your lower vibrations, it's you always want to be on top. Sometimes we can get stuck in those lower vibrations. And when you get stuck in those valleys, you know, movement is energy alone. So it's almost like, is it Street Fighter? Have you ever played Street Fighter?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
So you know Blanca, he's like, and he's generating energy. So it's like you have to do
Yeah.
that, and it requires more. And that's where that's why a lot of us get stuck, because sometimes we feel like we're generating this energy for so long, but we just give up right when it's about to be enough. So we stay in these valleys.
So now tell me about why for so long did you hold back? Why for so long did you have these incredible talents that you felt like you couldn't share with the world?
I would say I held myself back. I held myself back, allowing other people to hold me back. I allowed myself to believe what people were showing me, the reflection of themselves was not me, it was them. The reflections they were showing me were not me. I would say a lack of support. When I was younger, I kind of knew I wanted to be a writer. I also drew. I want to be an artist too. I didn't really have the support of my parents when I would sign up for a poetry contest. I used to go on ilovepoetry.com a lot, and when the symposiums were closed, it was always some excuse why they couldn't take me. Yeah, I ended up, I was pretty much a sheltered child. I was oblivious to the outside world. So I kind of got swept up into it as I got out there. I ended up in an abusive relationship, and this person would rip up my poetry. Never wanted to hear me read, would prevent me from writing. And I kind of allowed that person to take me for me. And then I finally got the courage. I finally got out of that relationship. And I made a mistake and followed old habits. It was like I was so used to this negative environment. Here I was again creating it in another situation. And it took me some time to wake up. And so as of right now, I am not quite woke, but I am waking up. I still have sleeping crust in my eye. But
I love that. But the idea that a awakening is indeed a process.
Yes.
And then this world of like, you know, we want everything right now. It's so easy to say, well, you're supposed to be healed from this hurt. You're supposed to gain this knowledge. You're supposed to have these skills. And yet we don't get this overnight. It takes a time of healing, and you take 2 steps forward. You might take 3 steps back. You might take 1 step back. There is that forward trend, that forward process, but it does involve a growth process, and not beating ourselves up through that, I
Yes.
think, is so important. It's so key.
it is. Because you can't kind of blame yourself for things you didn't know, because you didn't know they were there to learn yet.
That's right.
And as you're learning, what you can do is build on that and use it. Because, you know, as you're learning, if you don't utilize what you learn, it just goes right out the window. And that's a lot of times why, again, we stay stuck. I can say it's been in situations to where I've seen the signs, but I didn't pick up those signs and put them in my equation. I didn't use them as equal signs, as pluses, divisions. I just left them where they was and just took mental notes of them until one day it finally clicked to me. Go pick them up, they're twos. You need to use those. So,
So after
Thank you.
after years of having to discover your own talents and find ways of taking that life experience, because I truly believe that as an artist, we're never not creating. It's just that we're not always expressing. So sometimes there is that art that's being made in our spirits. It's being made in our souls because of our life experience, because of our receiving from the universe. And then we come to that point where we're ready and able to express it. But you're not starting from nowhere. You have all those years, all that time that you were storing up stories, storing up energy, gathering strength, building, and now you have the ability to express that.
yes.
Right? And it's just the flower that there was all that seeds and roots and growth happening that you weren't able to express, but now it can come out and we can see that blossom. But there is also a strong stem. There are deep roots that are part of that flower just as much as the blossom is. And it is so exciting to me to see someone who has such deep roots, who has so much strength and experience and life to draw from, to be able to now put that out there and share. Would you be willing to share some of your work with us today?
Very much. This poem is not titled, as I normally don't title my poems because I don't like restrictions, titles, categories. I like everything to be free. As free will was our birthright. Do you have on skin-tight pants, honey? Is there more padding in your bra than the walls of your yoni? Do you let strangers go raw inside of your mind? Little lady, I'll feed you. No. This ain't comfort food, mostly bitter, or the other foods to eat. Honey, you need a parasite. Glutes. Here's some knowledge to keep, nothing to lend. The enemy is in you, so you gotta rebuke that food. Hey, don't spit out this food. Humble yourself and tell your brain it's good. You eat this truth slow, and the lies will stop eating the flesh. Hell, you smoke, drink, who knows what else? Often ignoring condoms on convenience store shelves. Your wealth is your health. But I'm not here to judge you, as we, including me, all experience our whys from our mishaps. Stay away from gossipy chit-chat. Don't let your assumes make an ass out of you. Never stop learning, growing, understanding, overstanding, creating, planning. Remember, inside of you, you hold the universe. You and I are an equal verse. Get out your mind that you're cursed. Take back your powers, queens. We rule this earth. We are supreme beings. Remember, everything has been reversed. Remember what you first were drawn to in memories after birth. Before rebirth, 9 reincarnation times. Ancient cats symbolize 9 lives. 9 months before an infant screams. The average length of pregnancy. After 9, all numbers repeat themselves. Do I need to repeat myself? Are you thirsty yet? Tell me how I can quench your thirst. I bet you'll be thirsty after this rebirth. This is another untitled poem. I'm just going to go ahead and get right into it. I am the portal of life. Unlike your father, when you leave me, you won't die. You come to me to cry. You learn love from me before you learn war from man. I am God in the flesh. The source to your life is in my breast. Most haven't been fed yet by them. They are eating synthetic blends, alternating their DNA, breaking it without a mend, without a seed to sow, eating hybrids that grow. And if you are what you eat, are you alive or are you nerve-severed meat? Just reacting, doing anything to feel alive. Praying instead of renewing your body before you die. To what they call Christ-like consciousness. This is the true awakening. Beginning to open your eyes. Your 3 eyes in the blackout. Wake up and get the crust out. It's time to live. Sleeping Beauty. It's time to live. Most High, I'm finding pennies and my thoughts sell. Not biased to heads or tails, I pick them up and still lose my repents to tell. Confess, convos with you I disperse at my soul's expense. You want me to converse. You want. I need. I'm malnourished and walking on my knees. See, I have a bad habit to run inside me. Instead of you, I choose you as a last resort when the physical attributes won't cover the hurt. If I lose my salvation, it'll be all my fault. I chose starvation instead of locking the words in the vault of my heart. Each time I start to clean these cobwebs, I pause with cause. Sometimes I can't see where the spiders hide. The anxiety takes my fears on the ride. Reason, I don't let anyone stare in my eyes. I don't want them to see the scared little girl hides. She despises and defines my strength. And because I always leave you most high, inside I'm scared of what I may or may not have left. And I put this to be continued. Because your journey with your father and with your mother, as I believe we are both made from a masculine and a feminine energy, it is a never-ending journey. As you find things to know, you will discover there's more things to know. So your journey is never over. Okay, this is an original poem I wrote in honor of Maya Angelou for Women's History Month. Hello, my mothers, whom didn't birth me. You perfected my verses, diverse this purpose to search, and seek for the truth. Since the seeds are grown, I graze their roots like braille. I realize some are more dainty and frail. Some are strong, some are so long I don't have the lungs to huff and puff through the depths of soil it grows from, forever learning from you. And all whom you birth to, from the energy we're sharing, empowering and caring to grow our souls, we urge to nurture, and just like nature, no matter what man makes or breaks, we grow from under until we grow over and very often through. Making any man's intended hideous landmarks beautiful, inspirational art. Whether in our gardens, forests, or jungles, we must always find ways to humble all of our internal rumbles without crumbling those man-made landmarks. The best revenge is turning them into art. So to the visual and verbal artists, caregivers, barrier breakers, entertainers, and educational trainers, no intentions to be in vain, but etc., etc. I'm honored to be here with you in this divine plan. Hello, my mothers. I'm blessed to bask in all of your energy. When we get together and bring unity, I feel empowered. I am born a woman, and I wasn't born a man. Our reproductive system within our existence is like a solar system. We grow souls, even those never connected to our navels. And our yanis are a spiritual journey in their own entirety, as we are given the chosen throne. We are the killers of the void alone. I hope my words are vibrating your eardrums. Conversation is served with jewed, knowledge-based crumbs. From the bread we are all here breaking it from. Hello, my mothers, whom didn't birth me, as you have earthed me, gave me dews and oils, fermentation from food I thought spoiled. As I account the time you had already to see, toil in the soil and planting seeds was my destiny, and you was just trying to teach me, as you've seen your daughters in me. Can I sit with you in silence? Verbal silence is my solace. I speak through vibrating outside of my circumference, vibrating higher as air carries water. To rain on the earth to simmer fire, signs never lie. When the stars align, so can I sit with you in solitude, enjoying the view of our vibes reaching new multitudes of altitudes, latitudes, vulnerably in the nude of our inner being, here together, vibing what we're revealing, the thirst for knowledge and the wisdom to use it for healing. us and those surrounding us. It's obvious, you and I, plus verse equals universe. Let's converse. We have much to birth in verbal silence. So this is a poem written in story format. I was experimenting. I was inspired after being added to this group, which was called Short Story Challenge, and so I began to write. He said, "Listen, I don't want to take you home. I want you to take me with you through the pages of your book, chapter by chapter. I'm intrigued to learn. I've replied with no intentions to lie. I'm intrigued to reveal, but sometimes my pages stick. So peel with caution. No need for a relationship organized like an auction, fast talking and silent notions. I want to read your reactions and hear your expressions in their raw, natural beauty that inspires, called your smile." Dazed by the grace of those words, as he felt and heard the heart in them, he recognized they weren't lies, and the rarity of finding a person genuine and fine happens only once in a lifetime. He gazed in my eyes. Never had he felt so alive since his very first cry outside his mother's womb. Never had a woman made him cool. Like a newborn baby, he wanted to be inside me, rocking, to crawling, to walking in the halls of my mind. He knew learning takes time, and that's what he wanted to do before tending to my garden outside. I put my hand on his cheek as I seen me in the pastures of his eyes, and I seen me getting ready to build a house in the pastures with him, going fishing, garden digging, long walks, holding hands and kissing. Deja vu, a premonition. All I know is he has my permission.
Thanks for joining us on another amazing episode of Spotlight, a production of Culture in Maine, York's cultural showcase. We want to hear your ideas, and we want you to be a part of the show. Whether you're an artist or a fan, send us an email to cultureinmaine@gmail.com. Check us out on the web at wrct.tv, or make sure to find all of our past episodes on YouTube at youtube.com/White Rose Community TV. Thanks again for joining us, and have a great week. We'll see you soon, right here on the corner of Culture and Maine.
Now you know